I want to thank you again for joining me today. This is Professor Goulding, Professor of Computer Science at Daniel Webster College. And this is the second technology demonstration that I'd like to discuss with you, which is a part of our G method of software engineering, which we use with freshmen at Daniel Webster College. As we've mentioned in some of our earlier tapes, our freshmen develop a full client-server, multi-game, multi-client gaming system with full backroom casino floor control, as well as a player accounting system. The students, again, have had only one semester of basic computer programming, usually in something like C++ or perhaps C#, usually having only done console programming. This represents the work that we ask them to do during the second week of class using the G method. The method, as we've mentioned before, where we actually do no technical lectures in the classroom whatsoever. We, in the beginning of the class, give them executables, which we demonstrate, which I'm going to be showing you here, the second one of those. And then the students are sent off to do independent research and to discuss among themselves potential solutions to the technical challenge that they've been presented with. Technology demos are a very important part of any software engineering project, particularly when engineers or scientists or students are attempting to do something with technology that they have no familiarization with. Before they can really engage in developing a fully functional commercial product, they have to get within their grasp all the technology necessary in order to succeed. So very much a part of our program in the 14-week second term, or the CS2 class, is to give them technology demonstrations that they go off and master, and those demonstrations allow them to assemble the skill sets and the knowledge that they need to build a full casino system. Now, each professor who chooses to attempt to use the G method can set about for himself his own technology demonstrations, the things that he thinks might be important for the system, or the gaming system that he may want his freshmen to develop. Of course, he doesn't even have to choose it to be a gaming system, but we do recommend that a professor choose a reasonably complex piece of software that will involve the programming of 3 or 4 students. We do recommend that it be a full client-server system, so the students will have to grapple with several tiers of software development, including a database, the server-side software, as well as client software, and then, of course, the communication software between the client and the server. In the second technology demonstration, we have a reasonable, modest amount of work set out for our students. Again, we're kind of simulating the early phases of developing a single CREP system, or a client-only CREP system. So we're only asking our students to be able to place bets and to do the basic mathematics of an ordinary CREP game, or what one might consider just handling the betting that might be done on a pass line. So our students in this demonstration have a number of things that they have to do. They will indicate that they want to bet a certain amount of money in a text box, or they might indicate that they want to bet $10, and that will be indicated as an alternative way in the text box. You'll notice on the display we also have debug windows. We like to have our students get used to the idea that when they're developing code or test code, that they should embed within their software debug information. So we're actually having them display here the dice values that are going to be displayed when the dice are rolled. And then, of course, he clicks a button. He's making a $10 bet. This is the first roll. So we'll see what happens. His point is a 10. We have him display the point here, as well as you notice that the dice have moved across the crap table. Each position that the dice move, there's a different die face that shows up. And in this particular case, we have a point of 10. So the demonstration is to continue to roll the dice until either a 10 is rolled and a winning bet is achieved, or a point of 7 is achieved and the player loses the bet. So we're continuing to roll here, attempting to either point out or to get a 10. And in this particular case, we have a 7 rolled. So we have a display message, sorry, 7 out, you lose. And of course the assets have declined by $90. So it's a reasonably modest piece of work for the second week of class. Again, remembering that a week earlier the students had no experience even putting an image up on a window, and yet now they're clearly comfortable putting up a crap table, text boxes, labels, displaying information to the user, and then also in particular doing the random number generation and then moving the die across the table appropriately. You will notice that the die, well, actually you can't notice that the die are actually not being done with custom classes. A student is actually doing this now without really any real serious object-oriented design work yet. That will come in the third week of class. He can actually achieve this technology demonstration just rolling the die across the table as picture boxes by changing picture box location. The picture boxes do have a transparent background. We ask them to solve that problem. But it won't be until next week that they actually will develop their first custom class. So our first 2 weeks of technology demonstrations are reasonably modest and reasonably achievable, even by somebody who's done no visual C# programming. These students actually had never programmed at all in C# or the .NET environment, had done no Windows programming whatsoever, and no event operating system programming. And yet all of them can achieve this in a reasonably short period of time. We usually give 1 week for each technology demonstration. There are problems to solve that aren't so obvious by just looking at an executable, but the students soon discover what those problems are as they begin to attack and code a solution. For joining me today on our second technology demonstration as a part of developing a full client-server casino system.